All right, Josh, let's talk a little bit more about that forecast and that cloud coverage, if you will. It's chilly. Does that mean the rain's coming?
Yes, you just got to wait maybe another 48 hours or so.
Got it.
So at least we are holding on to the cloudy skies, dry conditions, and of course that December chill that's working its way back into our areas. We give you a grand tour here across the Pacific Northwest. A beautiful sunset taking shape out towards the Oregon coast and seaside at this point in time. But the rest of us, yeah, those gray skies still sitting overhead as temperatures hover right around 47 degrees. Upper 40s and low 50s for us found out along the coastline with a few breaks in the clouds to enjoy that sunset, as the rest of us are just going to kind of fade off into the night darkness with that cloud coverage overhead. And that's where it's expansive and widespread from the coast to the Cascades, as many of us even up in elevation are holding on to those eclipsed peaks as we wait patiently for this next batch of cloud coverage to eventually usher in our next potential for wet weather, which doesn't arrive until we move our way closer to the end of the week. But overall this evening, hey, maybe great to head up in elevation where you can find some of those snowflakes, but at least here in the city, temperatures falling back into the mid 40s for the rest of this evening. And you too can share your pet photos by heading to KOIN.com/petwalk forecast. All right, we are talking about the lackluster snow that we have seen over the high terrain at the Cascades. You can see well up in elevation, still holding on to a few of those flakes, but typically at this time of year, much of Mount Hood Meadows is completely covered in a layer of snow. That unfortunately has not been the case. Over the past 24 hours, Timberline Lodge reporting just about an inch of snow, but the pace, yeah, single digits for many of us, anywhere from Timberline Lodge out towards Mount Bachelor, as Timberline's snow deficit holds tight to about 25 inches. So we are in desperate need of a big snowstorm, and unfortunately that's not really in the cards as our snow elevation level once again retreats back up to 7,000 feet. So that means everything below that likely going to melt quite rapidly as rainy conditions once again return. So over the next 48 hours, that takes us all the way through Thursday afternoon, maybe an additional trace to an inch of snow for much of the Mount Hood area. But overall, we are trending on the warmer side, which is less than ideal when we are talking about the potential for snow, and that does include much of the Pacific Northwest. On the flip side, more wet weather. That's great news for the I-5 corridor, the coast, but likely going to be falling in the form of rain even at higher elevations. So that's going to speed up any of the melting of snow that is still sticking around at some of those lower elevations. But the ridge of high pressure helping to keep us on the dry but cloudy side right now as the cooler and wetter potential still remains out towards the Rocky Mountain states. All right, as we take ourselves into Thursday, we get the impacts of what I like to call the outskirts of the high, the dirty part of the high pressure system that allows for some of that wet weather to stream its way back into the Pacific Northwest. And then we eventually start to get this cold front that mixes with some warmer air to create some soaking rain. So that's really not impacting our temperatures. If anything, warming us back up as the rain once again returns. Let's time it out here with our future cast. Gray skies, patchy fog for the start of the day tomorrow. We might see a brief break in the cloud coverage anywhere from 3 to 4 o'clock tomorrow evening before that wet weather potential starts to creep its way back into our area for Thursday morning. That takes us into the afternoon hours. So here's a snapshot of what the next 48 hours looks like as far as our rain gauges go. Just about 1/4 of an inch. So that will be a welcome sight as our 7-day forecast does show the wet weather really starting to ramp back up again. And on the flip side, despite the moisture, temperatures warming back up well above the average of 49 degrees for this point in December. We're talking about mid, maybe even upper 50s for us Friday. So almost sending us back to some like October like vibes.
Temperatures.
Right.
Yeah, definitely going to be on the mild side, but we desperately need to see the rain, so that's good for Portland's rain gauges.
Yeah, good news there, Josh. Thank you. Coming up,